We are back on this week's edition of The Retirement Chef, Whipping Up Wealth with Brian Butler. He's the CEO and Senior Wealth Advisor with Wealth Standard Financial. My name's Kevin McAlpin, and of course, Brian and I appreciate you joining us on the program as we talk all things retirement, your financial future. Maybe you're newly retired, you'd like a second opinion, or maybe you're getting ready to walk away from that 9-to-5 and have no idea where to start putting that plan together. Well, that's why Brian and his team at Wealth Standard Financial are here for you. Pick up the phone, give them a call today. Get that initial consultation scheduled at 832-957-9008. That's 832-957-9008. Online at wealthstandardfinancial.com. Well, Brian, I know we like to talk sports on this show, and I think the last time we talked sports, it wasn't a great topic. We were recapping the national championship, if memory serves. But I saw this here recently watching the Masters. Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr. Now, we know he retired from baseball many, many years ago, but have you seen this? A new side hustle. He's a credentialed media photographer. How cool is that, kind of getting back in the game in a different way?
It definitely is cool. But can you imagine just walking down and you see this guy behind the camera and you just look over? That's Ken Griffey Jr. He probably has just as many people taking pictures of him as the event that he's at. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy.
I wonder, I have not seen this. Does he go backwards hat? You got to go backwards hat, right? Like that's your calling, and then you don't want to get it in the way of the lens, right?
So it's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it's right on brand and still perfect for him.
There you go. Well, Griffey has found himself a new little side hustle, and you might see him at the upcoming Home Run Derby, NFL games, Major League Soccer, even roaming the hallowed grounds of Augusta National during the Masters. Well, he started taking pictures, get this, as a way of keeping others from distracting him at his kids' athletic events. Take a listen to this. This is him describing how this all got started.
It was actually the only way I could see my kids. They were like, oh, Ken's here. And I was like, okay, I've got to pay more attention to what's going on. And I figured nobody's messing with the photographer. Well, let me pick it up. Let me try it. And I got a couple photographer friends who sent me a couple cameras and lenses and said, here you go. And didn't tell me anything about it. Just don't put it on auto.
Well, there you go. Hit the ground running. Figure it out for yourself, Mr. Hall of Famer. But the reason we bring this story up is because, obviously, Brian, retirees, they need to plan for what's next. So how do you really help them prepare and think about that second chapter? And is transitioning just as important as having enough money to retire these days?
I think it is just as important because you want to have fulfillment. That's what everybody wants. Everybody's looking for fulfillment. And so many times people worked at a job that they actually loved. And if they leave it, it's a huge gap. It's just like baseball players. Baseball players and other athletes, they've been athletes since they were 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
And then when they retire, they're like, now what? And so you see many people, you see Ken Griffey Jr. being a photographer. Then we talked off air a little bit about Randy Johnson. He's a photographer, credentialed photographer, 6'10", towering over people. But you see people that are just everyday people that worked, they start consulting because they have so much knowledge, they want to share it, but they just don't want to share it for 8 hours a day.
Right.
And so if they can do it on their terms, figure out something that they actually love. I have one guy that loves golf. You were just at the Masters, so he loves golf, and so all he does is practice, teach people golf. He's like, I'm not the greatest golfer, but I know a lot about it. And so even if you're not the greatest golfer, you might have something to offer from your expertise and knowledge. And so we see that all the time in basketball. A lot of times the best basketball player makes the worst coach. Like Michael Jordan was never going to be a good coach.
Right.
And so you see Jeff Van Gundy, who played basketball a little bit in high school and then a little bit in college, one of the better coaches in the league. And you see it all the time from that standpoint. But figuring out what's next is huge because you have to fill that time. You only can watch so much TV. You only can go to so many restaurants. You can travel, but that gets expensive.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to spend time with your family? Are you going to volunteer? Are you going to start another business? And the great thing about today, other than, other times in the history of this country, you can do things with the internet and start side hustle. So you can drive Uber, you can deliver, you can do all kinds of things on your terms, your hours, just to fill some time, extra cash. I know one guy, that's how he golfs.
Really?
He just Ubers. And so his wife never bothers him about him spending too much money on golf because his money is free to him because he Ubers. And so a lot of times he will Uber to the golf course and then Uber home and pick people up. And it's so efficient.
That's so smart.
he gets to meet people all the time. And there was another one that I saw that from another country. It was from Japan. They have a tour. If you're in Japan, they have a tour, and it translates to tour with an old guy. So it's a retired guy, and you basically rent the guy for the day. He takes you on all these excursions. He shows you the history. He talks about restaurants, shows you the real Japan, and it probably gives you an experience that you could have never received before. And he's totally happy because he gets to engage with people, stay sharp, get out there and teach people some things. It's a huge opportunity no matter where you are in the world, figuring out what's next, what's going to give you fulfillment. And that fulfillment, it goes a long way.
I'm trying to look up that tour because I'm very curious what that translates to. But interesting. A tour with an old guy. Hey, you know what? If the shoe fits, right?
Right. I think they embrace it. They like it.
Yeah.
And so it's a funny thing to see and gives them a lot of fulfillment.
Let me ask you this, too. We joke, there's only so much golf you can play when you get to retirement. Now, some folks might say, I'll show you, Brian Butler. Watch me hit the links. Yeah, exactly right. But you mentioned, there's only so much TV you can sit around and watch. Well, if you could, Brian, speak to the importance of that, staying active side of retirement as well. Whether it's, mentally, whether it's physically, whether it's both, just staying sharp, staying active, doing things that you've always wanted to, checking off items on that bucket list, especially early on in retirement when we are at our most mobile and able to do a lot of those things we've always dreamed about.
Exercise is one of the keys to, longevity in retirement, especially strength training. So I'm a former athlete, so I know all about this. So building muscle, especially for women, is one of the things that they underestimate. Lifting heavy for women, building muscle, it not only strengthens your muscles and your bones, because that's a huge part of getting older. You lose some of that, but it also strengthens your brain. It's one of the number one factors to longevity is physical strength training and exercise. And so when you do these things, and whether it be sit to be fit, my grandmother for, a little while had a cane. She's 89 years old now. And I was shocked that she had a cane. So at 88, I would go by her house and she would be up on a ladder cleaning her gutters. And so when I saw a cane as her oldest grandson, I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
That's not normal. But one, she did not want that cane. And so I asked her a few months later, she wasn't with it and she was just walking normally. I said, oh, what happened with the cane? She's like, oh, I was doing my exercises in the seat. So she had a seat with the little bicycle for your feet. She was doing that. And then she would stand up in the seat, sit down, stand up, sit down, and then do her stretches and everything. She got in the habit of that and she got stronger at 89.
Wow.
And so when you see that happening and she stays active, stays in her garden, does all of these things, it gives me hope. And it's kind of the blueprint for me that she's doing all of these things. And her mother, before she passed away, was the same way. I would see my great grandmother around town and she said, oh, I had to come to the store. I said, how'd you get here? She's like, oh, I rode the bus. And she was 94.
Wow.
And so it was amazing things to see your grandparents. And then my other grandmother was 97 that was super active, but she needed long-term care, but she was super active, super sharp, and continued to do things to keep her busy. So whether you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 90s, or 100, staying active is a huge part of keeping your brain sharp and, helping your retirement be successful.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, let's piggyback on that too, because with extra income, obviously we know taxes can be affected with this as well. So how important is it to really have that clarity when it comes to, okay, you're going to pick up a side hustle, you're going to do something else, you're going to stay active, you're going to stay involved, or maybe you're going to go back to a part-time gig, knowing how that that tax piece could be affected as well. That's a big part of this whole plan, I'm sure, right?
Absolutely. So that's where the income plan comes in. It's not just income from your portfolio, income from your Social Security. It's income that you're earning, because what you don't want to happen is your Social Security to be taxed.
Right.
So if you hit a certain level of provisional income, all of a sudden, a certain percentage of your income can be taxed, and your Social Security can be taxed. So if we can watch that and strategize around keeping your income at certain levels, okay, well, that could potentially give you more income in retirement.
Yeah.
But all of these things come into play with calculations. Nobody can do this off the top of their head. And so when we're looking at this and understanding how your side hustle fits in, your additional sources of income, I've seen people start 2 businesses when they retire and produce significant incomes. But then all of a sudden, 80% of their Social Security is being taxed. And so they're all of a sudden in a higher tax bracket, and it's affecting them. So it defeated the purpose a little bit. So how can we balance that out and then get you where you want to be from an income standpoint, but also managing those taxes? Because I hate them. I think everybody hates them. And so how can we mitigate some of that? And so the tax mitigation strategies that we put into place are ultimately helpful for most of our clients.
Yeah. I haven't heard a whole lot of folks that say, man, I really love taxes. That's something I really enjoy. I'd love to pay even more down the road. And if you're approaching your retirement, maybe you're in retirement and you're looking for that side hustle, you're looking to stay active, you'd like to know how that could affect your taxes moving forward, that and so much more. That's why Brian Butler and his team at Wealth Standard Financial, they're here for you. We mentioned it earlier in the show. If you'd like to pick up that complimentary strategy session with absolutely no obligation, they can also lay out that map of all your assets. They're going to do this on a complimentary basis with no obligation. Now all you need to do is give them a call. 832-957-9008 is the number. That's 832-957-9008 or online at wealthstandardfinancial.com. Well, Brian, we got about a minute left in the show, my friend, and like we do each and every week, floor is all yours for the final word.
Well, today's show, I hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot going on and a lot of changes that are happening every day. It seems like there's something else going on. If you want a second opinion with no pressure, for somebody to look at your plan and maybe give you some ideas, our target is to give you massive value, whether you become a client or you just come and kick the tires with us. So we want to help. We look forward to you continuing to listen to our show. I'm excited for it to keep going. Again, this is Brian Butler.
The opinions voiced in The Retirement Chef, Whipping Up Wealth with Brian Butler, are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. No strategy assures success or protects against loss. To determine what may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. Guests on The Retirement Chef, Whipping Up Wealth are not affiliated with CWM LLC. Investment advisory services offered through CWM LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.